Hello again, Anne-Maria. So, uh, I'm impressed on your work and what are you doing. When I research the projects of the Hague Center, I feel and think like, wow, uh, so good that somebody do it, and how it's possible to make this channel from something very deep, as I feel, to the consensual reality. And people name you like a social alchemist and expert of mesh working. And so, uh, for starting, just to synchronize the context, how do you feel, what you think about future of our planet, of our civilization for the next
Oh,
maybe 30 years or 100 years or any other horizon, what
oh,
you want?
okay. Um, well, that's not really my scope. I don't look that further ahead. I have no idea. I have, I try to look at what we have now. I am imagining that if I look at the beauty around us, at nature, and I listen to um, like the cosmologists and other people where we've come from. I think there's such a beauty and a potential and a mystery possible, let's say, with life. And I do have, of course, this longing for where we can go towards that there is that there is a balance, that there is a place for everybody, every living being, everything, and that we treat that with respect, and that each finds its own way to grow, to show its spark into the world. That's kind of like what I hope that we can come towards, because I see and feel that we do not do that as humanity now. I think most parts of nature are finding their own way, but as humanity, and that's where there's a responsibility that I feel within me, we are not really respecting all life forms, not humans, not other life forms. So yeah, if I look at the future, I hope that we can really come into a balance with that, and a respectful, loving care and a joy of being here together, and finding co-creative ways to spend our time, to play together, to develop things, because we have this innate kind of wanting to co-create something. And so how can we do that then where we are respecting all life forms? So that's kind of like the vision, I would say, I hold. um, and also I somehow feel that it must be possible. I don't know how, but it must be possible. And I've always felt that also as a young child. I felt it must be possible to do it differently. And how would that be? So, yeah, I would say that's kind of like my context. And then also seeing that, if I can say that too, this, I'm really aware of us as a little speck on this planet in a larger cosmic reality, and somehow that's there too, and being respectful for that as well. Um, and I am here. I want to see how I can do something on this earth, even though I have also as a kid imagined a lot being out everywhere into the larger context. And I love to listen to people like Jude Caravan and others that are sharing about all these other realities. So I am assuming there's much more than I know and that I can see. And I am here. I want to do something here on earth.
Hmm. Wow, you say that you feel this through your from your childhood.
Mhm.
How it was, maybe tell a little about your path to this point. Like, was it like some shared experience with your friends in childhood, or you feel like that you see something that other feel something that other people maybe feel less or don't feel? How it is, like maybe some first experience, if you remember.
Well, I was born abroad. My parents met each other. They went separately to Baghdad, and they met each other there in Iraq in the 50s, and that's where my older sister and I were born. And then we moved when I was quite small. Still, we moved to Singapore and Malaysia. So probably I have, I've been in airplanes from a very young age
Mm.
and have also, yeah, very positive memories of that, and always the excitement of seeing the earth below us in all kinds of ways. So perhaps that I've never really said this. I've never thought of this like that. But your question triggers that. So I guess I have had that reality of flying, and that through that you're seeing things very differently than when you're on the ground, and also living in all kinds of different contexts. And so I also can remember very clearly the excitement when we were in Malaysia, when the first people on the moon were there, the landing of the moon. I can remember the excitement of my parents. Um, yeah, so that was kind of like the context. Um, I don't know. I just had a fantasy. I created a whole fantasy world with a friend that we were, that we were traveling from Jupiter here. Didn't have anything to do with reality, but it was playing like that and having a whole imagination around that. And yeah, so that was a fun time in when I was about 11. And we also created a language and animals, a whole imaginative world that was there, um, and that we really truly tried to embody. We came here and we played with that. And I guess now, when I'm working with Irvin Laszlo and with Jude, I already mentioned, and them speaking more about the reality of the whole universe and the cosmology around us, comes of course from a very different um, container, context, background, but it's fun, and it's still I'm still curious about what that all means. And I just say, what if it's all like that? And we have developed in the whole worldview this framework of to help us to be in this sense of interconnectedness and interrelatedness, and that we are all consciousness, not only here on Earth, but in the whole galaxy. We've created this framework to help us stay in that kind of a field by speaking about think cosmic, feel global, act local. And when we developed that framework, when we were practicing to see how the cosmic hologram, the book of Jude Curran that came out in 2017, how we could make that understandable for layman's people, so not for scientists, but for us. I felt that that was a huge support, because I had been always speaking about think global, act local, but the shift to think cosmic, feel global, which immediately opens the heart to the whole earth around us, and then act local, gives a different kind of sense, a different kind of consciousness for me, which makes it easier actually to feel that we're all part of this whole reality. So I guess that's how I'm making meaning out of it. Yeah.
I feel I feel very strong what you uh, what you bring through the body, also with your body language, and you do it. And uh, how you find this feeling of resonation with the universe. Also, maybe it is some practices which we can do like personal on
Mhm.
day-to-day basis
Yeah.
for people who maybe not work in NGOs, some global projects, or just feeling resonance, which what I uh, tell us, and like how to start, how to like have a like trial version of this universal feeling. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Well, one of the exercises one of the meditations that I do sometimes is so starting with aligning myself, I can go into the earth. I can imagine that, that if I'm putting all the chakras, if that the energy centers in my body in a line, I can then feel my feet, on the ground, the soles of your feet also, and also sensing at the back that you're all grounded. And then you can do as if you are having like the trees, roots into the earth, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. And so that's a good way. And then you could also go up higher because the deeper you go, just like a tree, the deeper the roots are, the higher often the trees are as well. So just by looking at a tree and imagining what you're seeing with the tree going down and then going up, that already gives a different perspective than we as humans. And then what I sometimes do is that I can imagine that I'm going down into the earth, following that path of the roots, let's say, and then looking up and then imagining that I'm seeing the soil where with all the little animals and everything that's in there and the roots, etc. And then the path, the part of that what we humans are doing. I mean, we're also in the soil with all our pipes and lines, etc. But then looking up and then looking up beyond and then seeing the stars beyond it. And if I do that, that really gives me a much better sense of I am Earth. I am part of that reality. We are all part of Mother Earth or Gaia, however you want to call that. And if I bring it like that, instead of then sitting on the earth and looking up, then I can still, dissociate myself. But if I go into it and then look up, and it's fun just to try it. It's just the imagination of trying it and feeling it, and then you can play more with that as well. So that's one of the things. And looking at nature and just imagining that I would be a little that I could shrink and go along down with the plants and then going up. It's a different way of being fully present in that partly imagination, but also in the body because I'm taking my body with me. So just as then you can also go out into the stars, then imagine that you're seeing the whole around it. Um, I mean, we have such creative fantasy if we can tap into that, because we all have it. But of course, our systems and structures and our life conditions don't always allow us to really play in that field. And yeah, I think I've been lucky that I've never been told that I was not allowed to have that imagination. So there's so many ways that we can let that flow. And if we stay connected and grounded, because you can also have an imagination that you kind of like fly away, that you don't belong here on Earth, that you're somewhere
Mm.
else. And of course, our science fiction movies, etc., give us a lot of examples how that could be. But if you stay connected somehow here and then let that play, it can be so expansive and joyful, um, and beautiful. I don't know if that
Wow.
answers your question, but
Yeah, I think this is very good to like practice so that everybody can do it with your guide, for example.
Yeah.
And and I think like if on more global level, uh, do you feel that we have a situation of a like a great mistake of like some I mean some there is some forces in the world which
Mhm.
are maybe not opposite for what we're talking about, but who lead us to the like future not connected with Earth, maybe more, technological based future, like singularity.
Mhm.
Uh, and these people they are also, I think, I believe that they also mm, act from the heart, from what they feel would be better for all of us. But as a result, we have like concurrency between images of the future and like uh, different people have different intention and take a power, intention, like energy in money, in other uh, types of resources to the future,
Mhm.
and how we can uh, make a common decision. How can we have this, circle when everybody have a place, or not, or maybe for some images of the future there is no place in our circle of life because like destroys the planet. What can we do with these forces?
The big question. um, so so what we try to do in with the team and in the Hague Center is really trying to come up with ways that can be helpful for us to stay in a place of an open heart and with respect for life and all life. From the ground of our being, knowing that there are so many forms. Diversity is at the key of evolution. Um, if you look at your garden, there are so many different plants and forms, etc. If it's all one plant, it's very different of a life force, and it's not to be. I mean, it depends on the scale, of course, but still, diversity is so important, and that's also being taught more and more by scientists. That in that unity of all of us here interconnected and interdependent, the diversity is crucial. So to acknowledge that, and that there are so many different ways that we can look and experience reality, and that each and I mean my I believe each and every one of us have our own experiences to go through in life. It's part of our journey. It's part of our growth. I can't really judge what your life is about. I can only speak about myself, and I can because I can see how I can impact and influence others. I can work on trying to be a loving person in every moment that I am awake, let's say, and I trust that I will be a loving person when I sleep. I don't know about that, but I presume that's there. So so what is mine to do in that, and how is what is ours to do, and what is the larger context? So knowing it's nested, I am part of another group and another group and another group, and also knowing that it's fractally organized. So in the smallest and in the largest, there are the same kind of principles that are underlying that, sacred geometry principles. Okay, so from that, how can we design together systems and structures in our contexts that serve me to be in that loving space, to feel the wholeness, and to be able to be grounded enough so that I can open up that creativity and open up the relationship, because we are relational beings. So what are the things that help us to stay in relationship? And that doesn't mean it's always to be related. There are certain, ways of expressing life that don't serve me or that don't align with me. So the discernment, making a decision between do I want to be there or there, yes, that's what I need to practice, but not by judging so much the other, but by making clear it's not my path. My path is through the heart. If your path is through technology, and if your part is working that way, then can we meet each other somewhere that we can be inspiring each other? And if not, then that's not the case. Now, there are, of course, practices and ways of working that are destroying life, that are not respectful, that are purposefully creating pain and those kind of things. That I feel is not respectful and not fair. So I don't want to be part of that. But I'm looking for, is there some way that I can invite another approach to happen? And if not, if a system is totally, or a person is totally closed and so convinced of their own ways, then probably I'm not the one to find an opening. Probably it's somebody else. And we know that if something wants to push and I push back, you only get more power pushing. So then maybe it's mine to move out of the way and let it be and let somebody else deal with that. So I'm not the right, let's say, connector for everything. So how can I make a conscious choice for that? And also take responsibility if it's clear that I am either triggering or not contributing or pushing or doing something that is not at all serving my life purpose, and then to step back and take the humility, let's say, and the conscious choice to go another direction. So the things that I give attention to are, as much as I can, coming from that perspective of life affirming. And there are so many ways that we can enhance that capacity for the heart to be open and life affirming possibilities to show up. There's enough to be done. So that already is a huge amount of potential and possibilities. And we've also are doing more and more research into how resonance plays a role. So knowing that if I can really be fully present and with an open heart and with curiosity and expanding, that if you're open to that, that can be an invitation for you to do that as well, and for us to come into some kind of coherence together in which we can then come into an even greater potential for co-creative capacity to emerge. And so how can we do that on a personal scale, on a community scale, on a city scale, on a bioregional scale, on a larger scale? Because science shows us that these resonance, that it affects each other, the butterfly effect, those kind of things. Mm. So if we focus on these kind of things, how can that rippling out of love and light perhaps touch other people, to be inspired, to have hope, to see an opening so that they can also do that? And I don't know where that happens. I just hope that it serves somehow, somewhere, in some kind of a way.
And I think I don't really know who will what professions and position in some organizations of people who will see and hear us.
Mm-hmm.
I uh, I think it can be maybe two like types of people. Like first type is people who, for example, work in offices or in some other places and feel this call, maybe like you from childhood, maybe from some other practices, communities, or like maybe from our interview, like this call for some healing action, for something very deep, something which is bigger than us. And these people maybe want to act somehow, and maybe they have a like meditation at morning, for example, your meditation with tree, maybe some other practices, but they need money for life. They need to like go for work like from 8 to 6, I don't know, or maybe some other professions, but uh, how what we can propose to recommend for what action we can invite such people, like how can be this path from the working very very deep in our civilization to some transformation actions.
Um, well, in whatever condition we are, having an awareness of our breath is the most profound and easiest way, because we always have our breath with us, otherwise we die. So becoming aware of that and how you are breathing, and if you can breathe deeper, or and if it's going first, it's about, in mindfulness we say just be aware of what's happening, don't try and change it, and through that learn, and recognize your own patterns, and then see how you can deepen your breath, and how you can work with that, and how and play and see how it goes differently, and then try and come up with little tricks for yourself to help you. For example, if you put your hand on your stomach, your breath already goes deeper, and when your breath is deeper, it's more easy. You're in your sorry. So if you're putting your hand on your body, your breath goes deeper, and if your breath goes deeper, other parts of your brain get more possibility to help you guide your life. I mean, this is my way of saying it. That's not the official way, of course, how we speak about it, but this is how I imagine that for myself. Whilst if I'm breathing very high, and if that's kind of like and fast, that is more associated with danger, fight, flight, freeze, that kind of bodily signals. And so it's then also other parts of your brain that light up and guide you. So just having that already in whatever place you are in, and practice that, even if you are in the worst life conditions, if that's possible, it can help you support yourself to be able to be responding in a different way. Now, that sounds like, okay, we can do that easy, and that's not, of course. It requires some practice, and it is something that you can always do, whilst you're in the car, whilst you're sitting waiting for a bus, whilst you're walking outside, whatever way, your breath is always there, just as the soles of your feet, if you still have your feet, of course. Feeling your soles of your feet on the earth brings your system down onto the earth, and also helps us to be more fully present. And that just has all kinds of responses in your body. So these are two very things that you don't need any technologies or anything with it. You just need to remember yourself, remind yourself of it, that that's something that you can be doing. And through that, it can help perhaps to make a different choice in a response or in an action that you're taking that might not always be the best one for yourself or for the context that you're in. Because that's what often happens, and we often unconsciously respond immediately to some kind of things that really saved us in the past as children, as childs. But is that still the response you need to give now? And these two things come up for me now. And a third thing that I think really helps me is to focus on nature. And if you're working in an office, see if you can get a small plant, even if it's just a small tiny plant on your desk. Looking at that and just seeing the amazing capacity of a plant, and how it's growing, and just bringing that attention to that can already make a difference. And also, if there is any other animal, any other way, if we are stuck in our minds, stuck in some kind of energy or emotions or whatever, going out into nature, touch a tree, touch a plant, it really makes a difference. Just try it out. What if it does really help? Then it's so easy.
And other type of our potential listeners, I think it can be people who already do some actions, maybe with their projects, communities. Maybe it is some eco projects, volunteering projects, NGOs, and uh, intentional communities. And there are a lot of, by the way, these people in the world now who feel this call. But sometimes the images of the future of these communities and projects are not very different. I mean, it's not as a situation of this singularity scenario and Earth's connection scenario, if we can say that. But it is for like one direction for some next steps, but in some future it can be different. For example, it can be different spiritual schools or approaches. And how can we make this resonance action between projects and forces who already like transform the world intentionally, see this context and try to act, but act maybe in a little different directions? How can we synchronize this? What may be common action it can be? Or maybe you, like from Hague Center, have some invitation for some actions, like people who want to change the world. Let's do like this or this, and we can do it. We can help, like facilitate it. What it can be this common action.
Yeah, so I think you're imagining that there's some ways to connect more to each other, conscious communities, yeah? And what ways can we find each other or others that might resonate with us? So, and of course, there are in all the social media and all kind of other ways. There's ways to look for certain groups and initiatives. And there's also the Living Cities Earth Network, that also some people are part of, that those websites and networks give opportunities to reach out and to find each other. And we now have a future leaderships quest program for young people that they can. We're offering it for free. It's a way to look into and be inspired and listen to people like me, but also all kinds of others that are city builders or are working in different contexts, but all coming from this perspective of respect for life and coming from the notion that we are all interconnected and interdependent, and that life deserves that respect that we were speaking about earlier. So Living Cities Earth is a place. livingcities.earth is a website. And then we have One World in Mighty Networks, which is another large group of people that are all doing in very different sectors of society, different activities, and come together online, and in some cases also in different places. But primarily, I'm now naming online context because that's the easiest to speak about. And there are links also on our website towards these communities, but that's another place where we really like World Unity Week. That's always in June, and then Peace Week is around September. So we do events for free, online events with every changing of the season. So in the week of the 21st of June, we do World Unity Week. In the week of September, we do Peace Week. In December, we do Enlightening Our Way Together. And in the beginning of the year, we do Being Beloved Community. And everybody's welcome. Everybody is welcome to join when you're coming from that perspective of respect for life, if I can use that as a shortcut. And there you will find people that are very resonant with this way of looking at the world and trying to contribute in whatever way, because there are big things. We're looking at governance structures. How do we organize ourselves? How do we build peace, etc.? These are big topics, but they all start with the small thing that we do at home. They all start with me and how I am approaching life and how I am showing up with my partner, with my children, with my neighbors, etc. So it's the smallest act is just as important as the big scale acts. I just happen to have that global context, but if I don't practice it at home, that global context means nothing, and it won't have that resonance. So, and feeling gratitude for life. Gratitude is another very powerful energy. Having gratitude for something, anything, that can be the cup of tea that you drink, the food that you eat, the land that you walk on. Feeling gratitude for that and for that moment of being alive also can really bring some peace of mind and also resonance. And with that kind of resonance, there's also an opening up to who are you actually meeting? Where are you? Because sometimes we just don't realize that maybe it is already in our own neighborhood, village, town, where we are finding other people with which we can be doing beautiful things and making and doing and having beautiful time. Being together in that kind of place is already making a difference, is already vibrating love and light into the world, which will be helpful somehow, somewhere.
The next question, what I want to ask, can feel a little strange.
Okay.
If you have an opportunity to come to the people's dreams, I mean night dreams, I mean for billions of people simultaneously, for example, in next night, and you can come to the dream or construct or create some dream with yourself or without yourself, but what will be this dream? What will be this message?
Love yourself. Love and respect yourself. I think that's where it starts. every time again, it starts with that. Can we really truly be present with who I am and the mystery and the beauty of life in that? Even if you might be in a difficult situation or whatever, that's where it starts. Can we love ourselves? So I guess that would be the practice that I would be wishing that we can all be doing. And out of that, then seeing how that opens up to other things, but start with ourselves. And then that's really about the intrinsic love. So not about how much money have I made and all the other things, but yeah. And knowing that none of us are perfect. We're not perfect. That's part of also that is part of life. So loving ourselves means also loving the parts that we don't like and that we might want to change. But can we acknowledge that they are there too, and that they are uh, somehow forming us um, and challenging us, and obviously probably making some things difficult. And it's also part of us. I think that's part of the that's part of the practice, because if we can bring that more fully into our hearts, I think we can also have more compassion for all the other things that we're seeing outside of us, um, and um, and also for compassion for the people very near to us. And through that, then of course it resonates and it builds up. It can build up.
So this dream will be like a mood. I mean, like this impression of like love, self-love. Maybe it will be some plot in this dream, some environment, how it was, how this message will be like implement to the unconsciousness of people.
Probably an invitation first, because of course I don't know what you need in order for you yourself to love yourself more. I have no idea. I every day. I mean, I don't know how you experience that, but every day again, it's kind of like figuring it out. Even for myself, there are always things that show up that I thought, oh, okay, I thought I'd already changed that, but then it comes up again. So, but I think so. I think it would be an invitation. It would be an invitation um, um, to come into that kind of space and to share, because in the sharing there is an ability to help ourselves understand ourselves better, because the other is mirroring parts of yourself, so that helps. And also speaking the words, speaking it out helps yourself to believe it as well, because you're
Hmm.
then hearing yourself say those words. And if you're speaking in the I am, I feel, I want, I am, that helps to integrate it within yourself. So I think in the dream, it would be an invitation. And for some, I presume I would show up as a fairy, and for others, I would show up as a dragon, and for others, I would show up as a bird or as a person. Uh, that I think is the joyfulness of our fantasies, in which we can shift and shape. I mean, in a dream, we can shift. We can change all the time, can't we? So we could be different colors, different forms, whatever, depending on what the invitation for yourself is and needs, and helps to be in that kind of a way. It's quite a nice exercise, actually. Thank you for that question.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for this invitation. And of course, you can don't answer for this question, but if you want, if you're ready, can you tell some your dream, which maybe like have some influence to your work, your mission, maybe in some moment in your life a long time ago or some or yesterday.
And are you asking a dream or asking you something that I'm longing for, or what are you exactly? Because I don't really remember so much of my dreams.
Uh, I'm
But
asking about a dream, I mean night dream, what you have, and want
you're
to
asking about night dreams. Oh,
share in the context of what we're talking about. If you want, if you can, of course, it's not necessary.
well, I think some of the things that I was just sharing is very much coming from within myself. So I guess if I feel just before I'm falling asleep that I'm in this state of
Mhm.
kind of like making a list of things that I didn't do, I try to change that immediately. I try to shift that and stop. And that doesn't always work, but I try to do that because I have a sense of that. If I go to sleep like that, I rest differently than when I can go to sleep by dreaming about, can my heart even be larger? Can I love even more? Can I feel parts of I don't know if you can feel your organs. I can't really, but I do try. I do imagine that I can do that. So that's an exercise, a deep breath, or opening up, or thinking of something, or imagining something loving. That's kind of like the things that I do before I fall, and just before I fall into sleep. If I wake up with kind of like if I start to wake up with a dream that is not so nice, I again try and bring myself back into sleep to change it, because there are ways that we can visualize, also when we are having nightmares, how we can change that. That's a practice that we can be doing. So because of course, yeah, my dreams are not always beautiful either. This is what I'm sharing is my own journey, is what we're looking at as well. Um, I I have a cat and a dog, and they're very dear to me. And so there's also always that I can shift my attention to. Um, is that the kind of thing that you're asking?
Yeah, I think yes, a kind of and also in continuation of the like falling to sleep and waking up. I have a question about your like uh, mm, like base daily life. I mean, how it is to be Anne-Maria, the leader of Hague Center. Like how you, I mean, you work with very big energies
Mhm. Mhm.
and a very big world, our world, and you like provide this energy, maybe pain, collective unconsciousness. How you build or grow, I think this is one good word, your daily life to have this power to host this, to provide this, to be in contact with such big things.
Thank you. Yeah. So I have some energetic practices. I always go outside before I go to bed, no matter what time. I go outside, and when I'm at home, I do that with the cat and the dog. They go with me, and we go for a little walk. And I look at the stars or the clouds or whatever, and imagine the stars. So I'm always connecting to that and grounding myself. And then there are some very pragmatic practices to imagine that I'm cleansing my energy field you can just imagine when I'm walking there that I can stand under the stars in the sky. Yesterday we had this beautiful moon here across the water.
Mhm.
That I can just imagine that there's a shower of energy going over and past me and also under me that actually helps cleanse me. And then after that, I go for a shower. So I can do that with real water and I can do that with energy to clean me. So I do that regularly, also during the day, but specifically before I go to bed. So and that is something that it's not only, let's say, this side, it's also the front and the back and under my feet. Really making that clear. And so those are energy practices that I have been that I've learned and use. And when I'm in complicated contexts or when I'm speaking with or working with complicated energies, I can again imagine, like when you put on your coat, you can also put an energetic coat on. And I use either beautiful roses or stones or something with beauty, really with beauty all around me, not to close it off, but to keep my energy to myself, to keep out the energies that don't really serve me. So there is still a way to connect, but there's also a protection. And especially roses and beautiful stones, etc., have shown again and again that they are good for that. But anything that you can feel is beautiful, the more beautiful you make it for yourself, the more it helps you to be able to tend your own energy and not let yourself get pulled into all kinds of other energies of other practices, entities, ideas, whatever. So that's something that I also do. I pay attention to the news and what's happening, of course, but I don't read all the time. I don't need to know all details. I only need to know what is important for us. And I am very lucky that I have a few people that help me to be informed by what is really important. So in the team, we have people that do that, and my husband also does that, and some other people also. So that I am not all the time immersing myself in all kinds of topics, contexts, people, energies that are not serving. Because I really do believe that what I pay attention to has an impact and it has influence, at least on myself, but also on the larger context. So that's another thing that I do. Connecting to the water and the land, like I was already sharing, are practices that really help me to hold those, to stay, let's say, grounded and centered within myself, to be able to be, of service. So and be present. And if I come into some kind of, because of course I do, come into a spiral of going into a more down or sad or difficult or whatever, I connect with nature, I connect with animals, and I ask for help. I do not feel any, I know I don't need to do it on my own. Nobody needs to live on their own. So I ask for help. And I'm lucky that I have quite a few people that also are willing to listen if I do need that, and that, as they say, hold my back if I'm working on big issues and questions. And so I do that as well. And that's of course can be in my own context, my own family context, and in the Hague Center, and also in other contexts. It depends on what comes up or what conversation. And we have, in our way of working, the practice of first, like we also did, how are we doing, checking in, also online. And if I'm in a bad state, I share that. I share in order to be able to get support. So that's another thing. And then one more thing that I can share, and then I'll decide, I have the bowl. So just sounding the bell and then coming into kind of like attunement, alignment. Again, the breath, the grounding, that also really helps me. And to do that regularly. So when I shift from one conversation to the other, I first do that. I want to be here fully present for you. And it helps me. It helps me to be fully present in myself, because then I don't get so scattered. It helps me to come aligned again. And then we can have a meaningful, beautiful conversation or not. And if not, then we say, hey, maybe we should stop. Trying to be truthful, really looking out for beauty, and appreciating the goodness that is around us.
Yeah. So wish to have for everybody such a group of people who can support. It's really, really important. I see a lot of very interesting objects, or I think subjects behind you, which guide me to question what you can name as your teachers. Maybe teachers who are alive now and like who we work with, for example, or some teachers from ancient times. I don't know, like any type of teachers.
Well, I think my first teachers are really in my family context. Um, uh, my sister and brother when I was younger, my parents and everybody in our household, and then my partner. My partner and I met each other already when we were very young, so we've been together for a long time, and I think that's a huge gift for me and for us to really have to journey together and practice so much of our ways of trying to live a loving life, and our children, our daughters and their partners, because in there is when we really also can practice so many things of how to be in a loving life. So those are very important. And yeah, the world actually is part of my source of inspiration, let's put it that way. There are so many things that can help us learn and open up to different things. I've had a life of travels, as I already shared. So traveling and seeing and being in different cultures is and figuring out how things work and how it is, and curiosity around that, of course, has been a very important guidance. And in the Hague Center, in the context of the team, they are of course also a great source of inspiration and guidance. And around that, all my connections. So I don't think I have one teacher or anything like that. I have had teachers in different parts of my life that have had a huge impact. Also, teachers that I've really worked with a lot to figure out some certain things in certain periods of time. I guess for me, the most important thing is to see that there is, in every step I take, a learning opportunity, and that feeling that richness and joy for life, also when it's really difficult and painful, is helping me to, as a compass, to stay on track, and my body tells me when I am on track, because if I'm not, my body stops me. I have I have a body that just closes if I'm not on track, and I take that serious, and that helps as well. And then, yeah, if you look at the people that I'm working now together with, that's all of them are really such a joy to learn from, and that is a child or an elder and everything in between. There is, for me, no difference in that sense. A small kid can give me such a great lesson. An elder can as well. And my dearest friend and neighbor can also give me the biggest lesson there is. And my cat and my dog too. Yeah, so I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a little bit how I have walked my life path.
Mhm. And you say that you have traveled a lot through your life, and maybe for those who are in journey now, there's a lot of people now who like live in a journey, which is also some new thing, new type of our time, or maybe want to start a journey. Of course, it is like everybody has our own path, and you need to go to that place that call you. But in general, maybe it is some places like maybe tribes, communities, spiritual places in the world which you really recommend to visit to learn from.
Well, yes, like you said, that's kind of like a complex question. I can speak for what inspires me, uh,
Hmm.
but that I have no idea if that's also the places for you to go to. Um, but for me, for example, Africa has a very strong pull, as you could also see behind me. Um, I don't really know why that has been from the start when I was there the first time, but I feel a very great groundedness, I would say. I feel for myself that. And yeah, there are just many places that I've been that I can really strongly connect with parts of myself that I don't connect with when I'm here, for example, in the Netherlands. So there are different parts of me that light up when I'm there. Um, um, and I also feel there is, of course, a lot of things that that I can learn from, and in certain ways, I'm invited also to co-create with and share. So now we're working in South Africa on organizing a World Peace Forum in November, and we're seeing that in every conversation that we have, we are trying to do that from a space of learning how to do peace differently. And through that, it's really I'm meeting beautiful people, beautiful countryside, yeah, great energy, let's say. So Africa as part of an important continent in our whole civilization, but also a lot of pain and healing and pain that we have brought to that as Western nations and as specifically also the Dutch. So a lot of healing to be done there as well, and that can help us to balance and learn more from. That's something I see. I've been invited by Chief Phil Lane and by other elders to work more with Indigenous people in the Americas, and for me that was that request came in 2022, I think. That was a new area and domain and a new group of people for me, and I am it's really um, a beautiful again learning place, a beautiful journey, very inspiring to listen to the wisdom of indigenous people, of how they are relating to all kinds of contexts and the world and seeing reality. Yeah, really, and such a huge amount of love for life and resilience and wise ways of approaching all kinds of challenges that I'm learning there. Yeah. I was just in Romania, which was also with my colleague, which was also beautiful to be there in a very different context and to learn from and to see and to learn and listen to his stories. So yeah, it's not so easy to just say one or two things. I think also, again, it has to do with your own journey and with the people you meet. One of the things that the indigenous people do share with me is that it's so important for us to be aware of our own roots and where we come from and where we belong. So exploring that in a way, and sometimes you need to go away to really appreciate what you left behind.
Mm.
And sometimes you need to come home in order to really appreciate where you belong. So that, of course, depends on your own trajectory. I was, of course, born outside of the Netherlands, and I really do feel Dutch. I was brought up in primarily British context, but also very with people in our households from different cultures and backgrounds: Chinese, Malay, Arabic. I really feel at home here in the place where I'm living now, and that's a place below sea level, between lakes, between water. I don't know why I feel so at home here, but I do. So when I'm here, I really have this sense of belonging to this place, and I cherish that. And it actually feeds. It helps me to when I'm tired or whenever, to be here and home and acknowledge that this is where that I really feel I belong. Even though I have been everywhere, and everywhere where I am, I connect to the places where I am with deep respect also for the place where I am. And I can feel a sense of at-homeness then as well, but not the same when I come here. And so when I come here, then I really feel nourished by the land, by the water, by the place. And I just breathe that in and let myself be fed by that nourishment, let's say.
Mm. Wow. Thank you. Like I feel a big interconnected world through your words. I think we can slowly move to finish, and as a last question, maybe it is like for our project, like with interviews people who heal the world, as you, for example, like what people you can recommend to have interview with, also people who heal the world in different meanings.
Well, I spoke quite a bit about Jude Caravan because of her cosmic context that she offered me offers me in a different way. So I can imagine that could be beautiful. And we've been working on also this, how to translate the science and spirituality that comes out of that into a short movie. So I can also give you the link to that can be shared. But Jude could be somebody that could, is kind of like in line with what can give a larger context to that, and also a very grounded way of sharing. I can imagine also that perhaps you would like to speak with one of the indigenous leaders, like Eshna Fleury, for example. she could also share very beautifully from her perspective and her sides, and also some others. It's not per se, I'm now naming two women. That's not per se necessary, but that can be. Another woman that's more from the Middle East context could be our colleague Mona Rabi. She's in Egypt. And she loves the alchemical journey that you referenced. So that's why I was thinking of her. That might be. I mentioned Romania. That could be Adrian Jacobus. He could share, but that's also the Hague Center context. And yeah, others. Yeah, we can explore that a little bit more because there are, of course, many people that we can speak with. So maybe I should hear a little bit more from you where you already have some connections and ideas so that I can look at what can add to that. And also, I can also imagine that we could look at intergenerationally what age groups, because they give a different approach.
Mm-hmm.
So I can also, suggest some very young people, some elders. I would say if you share a little bit more with where you are at and what your ideas are, I can name more people that I think would enjoy a conversation like this, because thank you for your beautiful questions.
Okay. Thank you, Anna-Maria. Thank you very much for your time. So, you want to wish something to all of us, to our listeners?
Well, I would like to invite everybody to pioneer for life and love and light, and to see how we can contribute in the smallest and in the largest way that we're doing, and that it really helps ourselves to open up our hearts even more.
Thank you.